I'm Ryan, this is my brother Daniel, and this is Rolls in the Family. Today we are going to be counting down our top board game plays of the month of September.
Do you remember?
Do you remember the 21st day
of September?
I do. It wasn't that long ago.
It wasn't that long ago.
Actually, I don't even remember what I had for breakfast, but I know that I played some good board games in September. We will have links to all the ones we talk about below if you'd like to check them out. We'd also love to hear what you played recently in September that, you know, just
specifically on the
park.
21st of September.
Yeah, if you played something on the 21st of September. I think it's is that what the song is? And like,
that is.
Going off my memory. Yeah.
That is.
We'd love to hear about it.
Oh.
Maybe we need to start making a tradition of just a board game extravaganza where that song is playing the entire
on repeat
time
the whole day
in the background.
It'll never. It's a vibe. It's a vibe.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Shout out to our dad, big Earth, Wind, and Fire
yes,
fan.
That's right.
Yeah. Let's jump into this, Daniel. I don't think I got anything more to intro. I just want to hear about the games. That's what the people are here for.
Well, that's right. And we got. Did you say we got links to all these down below?
Oh yeah,
is that
definitely.
right?
Definitely.
And did you ask? And you said to comment down below. You did all that. Oh my gosh, Ryan, I tuned you out. Okay, here we go. Let's jump into it. Ryan, it is amazing what a week can do and how much your life can change in a week. Because if we would have recorded this video a week ago, which we were actually considering, there would have been one non-kids game even eligible to make this make this list.
Wow.
And now instead I'm coming in with arguably one of my strongest months of the year. So holy cow, Ryan.
Hold on to your seats,
and part
everybody.
of that is it was my birthday, not on the 21st, a couple days later.
True, I guess you're very close to
I'm very close.
that being your birthday song.
I know, it was so close. But every birthday is always fun because you get a big it's always a big box from all of you siblings, and you just
mystery box.
Mystery box of games. And I have already gotten all of the birthday games played, and we're going to hear about some of them here. First one, my number 3 play of September was actually what my wife gave me for my birthday. She was able to snag a kind of the deluxe version of this game, a game you own, and when I played it, it blew me away. This goes to Planet Unknown. So this was actually really interesting, Ryan. So got a 2-player game of this played last weekend. And I don't know if you've done... Well, first of all, have you played this 2-player?
I have, but I did not use the 2-player variant.
Okay, so we did play with the 2-player variant because normally in Planet Unknown, when it's your turn, you can select any tile and you rotate it to that, and then the other player takes whatever's in front of them. Well, the problem in a 2-player game is then you're selecting any tile every other turn, and so it kind of makes the game really easy in terms of that. And so the variant is, instead of selecting any tile just every turn, it just rotates one.
Yeah.
And that's a really interesting change for this game because a couple things happened. One, we flew playing this game because you think about it, the slowest part is the person deciding what
every turn there's somebody that's picking from 12 options.
And now that's completely removed. It's always it just rotates. So I thought that was really interesting. I mean, we played a fast game. Second thing is now you can there's a little bit of planning, like you can see what's coming. And so there was even I don't know, maybe if I was better at it, I would have gotten better at looking ahead, but that was an interesting element as well. So interesting playing that just with that variant. I thought it worked really well 2-player. I would do it again if I was playing with that player count. But Ryan, this game is just fantastic. It is I feel like I've played so many different Polyomino games,
If you're a long-time viewer on the channel, you've heard Daniel talk about, I think early on, I think Isle of Cats was
kind
still
of where it
in your
started.
collection.
I've played World Wonders, currently, I guess, still in the middle of a My City campaign, which might get played tomorrow.
A little different niche, but yeah.
So I and even Feast for Odin, you have that one. Enjoy the Polyomino there. So my wife and I have always really loved Polyomino games. I think this might be my favorite just implementation of a Polyomino game, and just the way, just enjoyable things are happening the entire time. Every turn you are going up on these tracks and you're triggering stuff, and there's just, combos of as you're going up. And then, we only played with the base planet and sideboard, and it was great. But then you add in all and this was what was sweet about getting the deluxe edition, is it has all of those variable planets and sideboards and all of that. So and the fact that this can go up to 6 players, and with the it's a game that there's no downtime. Like every turn, everyone's playing.
We played a 6-player game on our vacation, and I think we clocked it like just over an hour.
Yeah. So it was actually the one downside of this play. Was we had one of our kind of objective cards that the two of us were competing for was whoever could have the least life support, whoever collected the least life support things.
Oh, yeah.
Which is kind of not fun, because basically then both of us are just like, well, just go over them, right? So,
or it's a bit of a game of chicken, because one of you can go wait for the other person to go over a bunch, and then I'm going to collect them all. Just seed control.
No, for sure. But you're doing a bunch of actions to get as many points as I would get by doing nothing. So it kind of felt like it took out part of the game that is fun. But overall, man, this game is so good, Ryan. And it is one of my favorite new games to the collection of this last year. So that's my number 3 of a fantastic month.
Nice.
PlanetUnknown.
Yeah, I actually have a slight house rule when I deal out those objectives with a bigger group, because there's a lot of them that are like the inverse of each other. There'll be get the most life pods, get the fewest life pods. So I've house ruled that those can't go to the same player, because they'd be the only player that has it on their left and right, but the people they're next to wouldn't be in that situation.
Right.
So it really puts that single person at like a disadvantage if they're like, well,
that's a good house rule.
One. So there's my house rule.
There you go.
Cool. My number 3 is a big game that I was getting to the table for the first time. It is a game that you've gotten to the table once, I believe. Definitely one that you go into reviewing the rules, watching some videos, trying to set this up. I had a big 5-player game of this, and this is Nemesis Retaliation. Mm-hmm. And it was great to get to try this.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear your thoughts.
I've only played Nemesis once, and it was quite a ways back, and we played pretty much everything
and
wrong.
Taught very well.
Yeah, so who knows what that game's like?
Yeah, I don't know who was teaching that game.
This one, it was very, very fun to try it. I will say the opening setup in first round, despite feeling like I came pretty well prepared, was a little bit of a slow. I need to look things up. I need to make sure we do, every time you got to like a process, like resolving a noise thing or an attack, it was like, okay, let's make sure we do this right so we don't just repeat a mistake the rest of the game. So it definitely started a little bit bumpy. Right. But once we got going into it, it is like, once you get it and you understand the different things, it can play pretty smoothly. Mm-hmm. It's just, there's a pretty high bar to get to that point. And so there's a lot of really cool things going on here. We've talked a lot about the dynamic exploration of the map is a really cool addition into the system.
Yeah.
I really like this, and I'm going to forget whether things were in Nemesis or not.
I'll try to remember.
But I really like this. Every game, there's a random team mission that's picked, and that's like there's a bunch of them. So that's going to be different every game.
That is different.
And then there's a very high chance that of the 2 private objectives everybody gets, that one of them is going to relate to the team mission.
Right.
So there's good odds in a group of 5 people that there are several people who want that mission to happen. There might be someone who literally wants that mission to not happen.
Yeah.
And there might be some people that just don't care because they have...
I believe that's different. I want to say in original Nemesis, there wasn't that shared...
It was just like always the same shared thing of getting back to Earth or whatever it was.
Right. Yeah.
So I love that. I think that's really cool. In our particular game, it was we needed to find the server room, we needed to download this data from the server room, and we needed to get it back to the landing pad, and somebody had to leave on the ship with which the only way the ship can get there is if you make sure the anti-aircraft missiles are off because
Yeah.
otherwise it shoots down your ship.
Right.
Which I do love that dynamic with the two objectives of like there might be this moment that suddenly one objective becomes impossible. Like if that
Yeah.
ship gets shot down, suddenly everybody who thought they were going to go for that is
Are, like,
suddenly
completely
I have
changing
to
their
find a way
direction.
to do this other
Right.
thing that I have
Right.
not been trying to do yet.
I know.
And so, yeah, I really like just that dynamic with the team thing.
Well, and real quick, that's another change is the fact that you can hold on to both objectives.
Yeah.
Because the other one, once the first alien comes out, you had to commit. And so
Yeah,
it
yeah.
felt like an original Nemesis, like I had to commit before I even knew which one was more likely. Or this one, you can hold. And
yeah, you can choose to get the bonus of cards
Right.
if you early on sacrifice
Really like
it.
that.
I was, I think, one of the ones that like was waiting,
Yeah.
and then other people did some of those, like turned in there, so then it wasn't even as valuable. So I may
Okay.
have even had both of mine at the end.
I think I did when I played.
Just because, like,
Yeah.
even down the stretch, and we'll get into this, it was still a little unknown, which, like, both were still possible. And as long as
Yeah.
both were still possible, I was going to keep it. So another thing that's very cool is there's this, like, robot that you can you find, and every game that's going to have a different, you reveal like what type of robot is it this time, and then you can use the robot to do things. And so we had like the exploration robot that normally the robot can't explore new rooms, but ours could. So it was like, well, let's just send him out into
Yeah.
section B and just have him start, because we have to find the server room. Like we'll just have him find it. We don't have to waste our time going to the wrong place. And so that was great. And we sent him off and going it. But then it was very funny, just the narrative here, because we, after exploring like 2 rooms, we do our like first event. And it's Rise of the Robots, the robot like rebelling and
my
like
gosh.
blowing up the room and like hurt himself or whatever.
Oh
And it
my
was so
gosh.
funny because it was like we pushed him too hard. we are his human
Yeah.
overlords were telling him to go out and do it. And
Right.
so then it was this whole thing of now we actually have to go out there and fix it. And so that was kind of a fun just narrative thing
Yeah.
that happened there. And then it was just fun to see everything, kind of unwrap from there. I guess the other part of our team objective was we had to explore all of section A. Like we couldn't have any unexplored.
Okay, I saw your picture that you had of the game. I was like, oh, look at you guys, like section A. You really
Yeah, that was a
explored that.
requirement.
That was a
There couldn't be
requirement.
any
Okay.
unfinished
Yeah.
corridors. And so kind of the way it developed with the 5 players is we had one player, our sister's boyfriend, who I can't remember. He did not want the team mission to happen, or like he didn't care about it.
Okay.
And so he ended up, I think he needed some specific person to die or something, but he ended up going out and then just like yeeting out on the escape pod or whatever.
Yeah.
Which at the time I was thinking, so it was really weird because my second objective, besides wanting the team one to go through, was I wanted him to die. And so I was like, well, let's see how it goes for him. He ended up catching himself in a terrible situation. Like with the queen. He was with the queen.
And the queen
like,
in this game
and
is
when
a
that
beast.
happened, I was like, he's gonna die.
Yeah.
And so the second I saw that, I'm like, I am running to the escape pod.
Yeah.
Because if I can get to the escape pod, like I'm golden.
Yeah.
And so I'm running on my way to the escape pod, but then he somehow miraculously gets away and goes to the escape pod. And
my
so
gosh.
now, it took away that objective, and then he gets out. And so I'm like, well, now I have to go in on this team objective. Well, fortunately, my other friend also was clear. It was pretty clear he also cared about the team objective, or was putting the heaviest bluff of all time. But no, he really did care. So we're working together to find the server room. I love the dynamic here of it. Almost felt like now we had this little 2-player cooperative.
Yeah.
Like we were our little group and we're working together to achieve this task. Then our sister also found herself in a terrible situation. I can't remember what happened, that she ended up in a room that was on fire and there's like tons of aliens. And she had the worst luck. There were like 3 times it was like, Caitlin, as long as you don't roll the, whatever the symbol is
Right.
on the die, you're going to be okay.
Is it the
here.
symbol where the alien like drops down on
Yeah,
you or
yeah,
something?
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think like the fortifying of rooms, or
Right.
I forget what the term is.
Yeah.
Reinforce or something.
Right.
I think it doesn't protect you against that. Like, it protects from an alien moving into the room, but that's not a movement into the room. It's just like, thematically, it's like he was in the room already.
Yeah, you didn't see them there. And, Right.
And so multiple times it was like she was in a protected room and like it's like had the worst possible thing happen. And so it actually ended up that she ended up dying, and which was a little unfortunate. I mean, there was probably another 45 minutes of game after that.
That is the one thing with Nemesis, right?
But I mean, I still felt like she got a, good full game. Right. It wasn't like too early, but it still was a little bit of a bummer. And again, because it was like really bad luck was like the main reason, as far as recklessness. So she was out of it. And then the fifth player, we weren't really sure what he was interested in, but then it became pretty clear that he also wanted our team objective to go through. So then it became, well, can you explore Section A while my friend and I are getting this data? And so he's doing that. And so he gets it all explored, but then he gets like really stuck. Like the way things connected, he was way in the corner and there's like a bunch of aliens on his path back to the ship.
Which is part of that variable map, right?
Yep, exactly. And so in the long run, what ended up happening is me and my friend that were together got back to the ship with the data. We are at the point now where if you're in the ship, if a single person votes to go, the ship leaves. It only takes one person. And so we have our other person begging us, wait for me. Because like he's already explored it. So we've already met the condition. We have no need.
Did you leave without
no
him,
need for him. And I was strongly considering, because you're trying to, because when you're in the ship, you're not safe as long as you're there. Like, and you can get attacked back out of the ship.
Yeah.
There was a lot of fire in the facility from some event card we got. So it was like, there's a chance we run out of fire if more things happen. But we were like, you know what? We couldn't have done this without you.
Yeah.
The way that you went and explored the rest of that. We will give you, and he was like, I think I can do it in one turn. And we're like, well, we'll give you one turn. But then like it's risking our own chances too much to win any longer. And so he pulls off this crazy, I can't remember exactly how he did it, but this crazy series of movements and things with equipment that he was able to get all the way back still alive, and he rolled and got onto the ship. And so it ended with the three of us all leaving together. But now, if you've played Nemesis before, you know the game is not over.
It is not.
And so then you have to check your infection cards and see if you're going to possibly die due to being infected by the aliens. Well, despite me having the best odds to not be, I was the one person that died with my infections in the end.
Infected.
And so my two friends actually won getting off on the ship. The one that we waited for, against all odds, pulled off a victory. And then our sister's boyfriend, who made it out in the escape pod, also won. I forget what his... It might have been actually Caitlin dying. Might have been his. Yeah. So it ended up being three winners. But altogether, a very, very good first play
awesome.
of this. It the way the narrative and everything. It had me just excited for playing the game again now, just like getting it a little more and feeling like... It's honestly a game that if I could go back... I think I would have liked to by myself set it up.
Yeah.
Because there's just something different about having everything where you can see it and moving things for like solidifying some of the rules.
Yeah, and honestly, that's my biggest complaint of it was I just thought I felt like the rule book, I just was having a hard time finding like what I needed to find. So I don't know about it, but I was really having a hard time finding specific things.
It has like this nice table of contents on the side, but it was almost like things weren't always in the section you would expect them to be in.
Yeah,
it was tricky. And it's just, there's a lot of fiddly rules in this. And it's part of what, a lot of them are very cool in what they do with the game. It's kind of what you're getting with one of these complex thematic games. But yeah, it was a little slow on the front end. But overall, really...
Dang.
I mean, it's everything I wanted this game to be.
That's awesome.
I think for both of us, it's kind of the semi-co-op feel game in our collection. It really nails this really big, epic thematic game that's going to tell a story, but has that not just we're going to win all together, but I kind of like that like some subset of people might win, and it might be for different reasons or different things. And so yeah, early impressions are looking good for Nemesis Retaliation.
Dang, that was epic to listen to.
Yeah, I'm like, how much of our
I know, shoot, let's just
time did
cut it
I
there.
eat up here?
Okay, Ryan. Well, we got to keep it going. My number 2, another game that I got for my birthday, and this one came from you all. A game you own that I had played an earlier version of it, actually I played an earlier version of it and actually sold it. Thought it was a good game, but just didn't elevate to kind of the top. But this version does for me. This goes to Clank Catacombs. Now, quick funny side note about this. I can't remember if I told you this, Ryan, that when I'm opening this box, full of, the different games that you guys have given me.
The birthday box.
The birthday box, right. But the first thing on top is just tons of card sleeves.
Yeah. Which is funny because you had those card sleeves on your list.
Yeah.
Even besides,
I know, and so it was funny. I actually think I probably should have taken them off because I don't think I needed any more. I think it was originally when I thought I was going to sleeve like all of Arkham Horror the card game.
Like, dang it, they just leaned into these cards.
Well, it was funny because I'm like pulling card sleeves out, and I'm like, oh, well, that's nice. I'm like, what am I going to sleeve with this? I don't know. But not realizing, the card sleeves are for something that is later in the box, which is Clank Catacombs, which I appreciate being able to sleeve that one right away because you do a lot of shuffling in that game.
A lot of shuffling.
But man, got to play a 4-player game of Clank Catacombs this last weekend, which really it just felt like it fit the situation perfectly. The couple we were playing with had actually played Clank before, so that was really nice too because rules wise they were familiar. And man, this one just really delivers. The exploration in this game is honestly one of the most fun exploration feels in a board game I've played. Like that, getting a tile, and the tiles are just so cool. I mean, they're just, the different ways every tile has interesting things on it and how it connects, but then you can rotate it any way you want and connect it to where you're at. So just every turn of exploration is just a blast. But then delivering that great Clank experience, right? Where you're pushing out. And, in this game, it was a really tight game across the board. And I had been going kind of for a while, and everyone else was going back, and I hadn't gotten an artifact yet. And because I was trying to get one of those late ones, but I was really pushing it because, once people get back, they start just drawing from that dragon bag, and
it's interesting because not that many of the tiles bring out artifacts, and when you have that many people exploring, there's a chance that
it's on the other side.
It just gets put way on the other side. Yeah.
Although maybe there's a teleportation, you can get over
it's
there.
True. It's true.
But and then obviously the deck building with it is very, I would say it's a simple deck building game, but just there's different, strategies you can go with. You could go with one where you're getting cards that actually actively are adding Clank, but maybe you have other cards that can remove Clank, kind of, and stuff like that. But man, it was a game that was super tight. I was the last one out there, and I was making this bolt back, and I was in a really tough position because I had a long ways to go, but I had gotten this card, these, some boots, these they're really funny sounding boots. Yeah. And it was I could do 4 move and move through an ice. I didn't have to stop in the ice cavern or whatever. I could move through it, but it added Clank, but I didn't care at that point.
Yeah.
And so I was able to fly back and get back. And so we actually all got back.
Wow.
But my longevity that I pushed out further was able to pay off and get enough victory points for that. So, man, it was. It really just, I don't know, for me, and I think you agree with this, Ryan, this is kind of that definitive Clank experience, just with what it does with those variable tiles, and a game that is, I think, pretty accessible,
Yeah.
It's a game that I feel is not hard to teach. I mean, you can kind of just explain icons as they come out, but the base mechanics are very simple. It's draw 5 cards, you play all your cards, and you just resolve the icons, which are pretty straightforward.
And we're at a point also where there's like a good chance that someone's been exposed to deck building in some capacity.
Right.
But even if they haven't, I mean, it keeps it pretty vanilla in terms of what the deck building does.
Right. So, yeah, ton of fun, and it was a great to get this one to the table as well. So thank you, Ryan. I really appreciate it.
You know, we were trying to, and by we, I mean me, trying to think of games that like you would actually be able to get played.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. Like you could give me this like, super big, long, heavy game that's great, and it's like I've got like 6 others on the shelf.
Add it to the list.
6 others on the shelf I need to play. So yeah, this one, the fact that it was able to even get played this quickly is speaks to that.
Okay. Nice. My number 2 is nothing like that game or any other game we're talking about today. It is really a unique experience. It is a unique experience that I wouldn't even call it a board game. It's a game played on the tabletop, but this is bringing golf to the tabletop. In the game of Finger Golf.
Ooh.
And Finger Golf, I've talked about in the past, if you can get like a big full game of it where you're, playing a 9-hole thing with a bunch of people, like it's just like the ideal scenario. And that was what I was able to get in. We had about a 5-day vacation trip staying at an Airbnb with my wife's family. And I'm like, and we were driving, so it's like, throw everything in the minivan. Why leave anything behind?
Exactly.
Finger Golf's coming.
But
I was like, I think this could be a really good one. I knew, some of the other Mary's brothers and brother-in-law enjoy a lot of like dexterity style games, like whether that's yard games or. So I was like, I think there's a really good chance this would go over well. And so a few days into it, we were able to. It was actually. Like on the tail end of it, like it was getting to the point where I was like, I have to make this happen because I'm gonna be like kick myself if I let the whole. Yes. But we got a full 9-hole game of it going, and it's just so much fun. I mean, you have the beginning where everybody's just like practicing and getting a feel for it, but then you set up these holes and just the way that you can hit it and it plays and like it's very skillful. And like when you have a bunch of people that are trying and like invested, it's very funny because you're, it's golf. So like you don't want to make mistakes and get extra strokes and stuff. And
it simulates the challenge of golf quite well.
Yeah, it really does. And, over so many hits, we got to see lots of amazing shots. I had another one that I on my first hit on this longer hole, chinked it, took a 2-stroke penalty, go back to the tee box, second hit, drill it, hole in one.
No way.
So I ended up like getting like a birdie or whatever. Yeah, I was like, dang, I should have done it on the first one. But again, it creates those moments. I mean, everybody went crazy. It was like that's possible. And there's a lot of these, you can construct the holes in such a way that it has this kind of risk reward of like, do I shoot for the green or do I do this more conservative play under the fairway and play up? We even had my father-in-law made this wild hole where it went to the edge of the table and then the green was going back under the table. So it was like not a course you could see in physical, in real life.
Right.
But you had to like get it to slowly drop off and then roll back. It was like slope to roll back.
Oh my gosh.
Which at first it was like, oh, this is weird. But then it actually like worked really. It was a very fun hole for us all to play and try to do well on. And so, this was a lot of fun. And we're finishing up this 9-hole game. And then it was Sunday. The Broncos game was going to be on, and I'm like the only one there that like really cared about that happening. So then I was like catching up on what had happened in the Broncos game, and then we were putting the Broncos game on. Well, then everybody's like, they were kind of still just playing with it, and then it was like, oh, like people would like play again. Like we've already done a full 9-hole.
She did a full 18.
And I'm like, I know I should have done a full 18. It's like, I can't turn that down. So we, over the course of like 4 hours, we played 2 full 9-hole games with like, the first one probably had 6 people in it. The second one probably had 5. For the second one, I'm like watching the game while watching finger golf. I was like, this is like peak Sunday afternoon.
No kidding. You can't do that with real golf. You can't.
I tell you, you can't. It's true. And so it was just an outstanding experience. I mean, it was exactly like why I'm so glad I own finger golf is like, it can put on this experience that like I don't have any other game that can quite do what it does. And I really like the dynamic of golf of like, everybody, where are you in the standings as the holes go on, and like just the comparison to par is very fun. So you have not played like a full game of this. You've got to try it a little bit.
Few times.
But yeah, it's been a hit. It's been a hit, I tell you. And this with like basically a completely different group than the other group that I had a really, really good game with.
Yeah, it's a dexterity game unlike, anything that you own. And the way it simulates the real thing. I mean, I think that's
it's almost like it's a little bit of the experience of like, let's go putt golfing and like kind of take it seriously. But I honestly think it's like more fun than most putt golf courses.
Right.
And, now that I own it, it's free.
That's right.
Free admission.
Very nice, Ryan. I mentioned September was a great month. Got a lot of new games. Played all those new games. And yet, despite all of these new games, Ryan, none of them could take the spot of number one. My number one was a game that, man, I had wanted to play for a while. This is, sometimes you start seeing the last time you played a game and you feel that itch, Ryan, where you're just like, I got to get this one to the table. And this was really one that I was like, man, really want to get this one to the table again. It's been like a little over a year since I'd played it and got it to the table, 2-player game. And it was fantastic. This goes to Earth. And
I forgot you.
Yeah, gotta play of Earth back to the table, and I was so happy I did because, I think you can a little bit even just forget like, how much do I like a game and whatnot, and playing it again. This game is so good. It, I remember we had this feeling when we played it of, at any game where you're, similar to Planet Unknown, where everyone's taking turn, doing their thing at the same time. You just feel like you play so much more game, and in a heavy game like this, it's got a similar mechanic to like Race for the Galaxy, where one person's activating one of the 4 actions, but then everyone else is activating kind of the lesser version of that action. But on top of that, then everyone, there's 4 colored actions. Not only do you take the action, but you then run your engine of your 4x4 grid for all the colors that match that action. So every single turn, you are running this kind of entire, production engine or whatnot. And so the game is just incredibly interactive. Although it's a game that you are very much
I don't know if I'd say interactive.
Sorry, not interactive. That's actually the opposite of what it is. Because it's a game where you're like, what I meant by that is it's a game where like you're not waiting for your turn. Like the entire,
it's very dense. It's a very dense game because you're just like constantly doing things.
Oh, it'd be such an easy game to cheat at because you are not like, you have no awareness of like, you're just staring at your little thing, running your stuff.
We should do a top easiest games to cheat at sometime.
Yeah, and then top games you have cheated at.
Yeah,
that's right.
Which they're the same games.
But no, the game is, it's obviously got the, what we love about like Terraforming Mars, stuff like that, of just getting lots of cards and figuring out, the best combos. I love the, how you're playing the cards out on this 4x4, kind of grid, which has multiple implications. One, obviously, the order you place cards affects the engine that it runs because it runs from the top left and kind of works down. But also, you have all of these scoring cards that you're having to consider. And this is where, especially for someone new, the start of the game, I find more so than other games, the start of the game for this is like, oh my gosh, like it's a little overwhelming because you've got like you've got 4, I think they're called fauna cards, which are these like kind of think like Terraforming Mars, like objectives that we're racing to try to claim first. So there's 4 different ones of those. There's 2 like environment cards, which are end game scoring cards that are public, and you've got your own personal environment card.
And doesn't the game start by like drawing a bunch of cards and having to decide?
So we played the beginner version where you just get dealt 1 environment card, but the kind of version up from that, you get dealt like 2 and you get to choose.
But what about your initial? Do you get like an initial hand of the actual cards?
You do, and I'm blanking on whether.
I feel like I remember when we played it,
choosing which one,
being like, I don't even know what to do.
Yes, that's right. So whatever your island is, it tells you how many cards to draw and then how many to compost, I believe, from your. So essentially discard. So the beginning of the game is arguably the most overwhelming part of the game. But then once you kind of just start getting going, and the actions are very simple, right? It's one of 4 actions. You just kind of start plugging along, and I find it then you kind of settle in and you figure out what you're doing. But there's a lot to manage, and yet I think it just comes together really well. And I had a pretty good game of this. It was it came together quite well. This is a game where you score a ton of points. Oh my gosh, there's so much scoring happening in this game. But again, a game that we played it 2-player and it was great, but you could be playing a 5-player game of this, and it's not going to take forever. It's because it moves really well, and keeps people engaged the whole time. Nice. So Ryan, I would be interested to see if you like where this one. I'm curious, kind of for you.
I mean, I remember when we were out there this summer. This was probably my top one that I wish we could have gotten played. Like I was wanting to try it again.
Let's play it again.
So sometime, because it is on my list of like there's this weird purgatory that games can go into that are games that are on my wish list that maybe I've gotten to try once or not, but that I know somebody that owns it. And so now it puts it in this weird position where it's almost less likely for me to buy it because I know I can try it more before I need to make that decision.
Yeah.
But that only helps if I actually try it. So if I don't actually try it, it's just like
sits
stuck,
there forever,
right? And so that's a little bit where it feels like Earth. Like I feel like I wouldn't go and buy Earth because I'd be like, well, I'd want to play.
You know what we should honestly do is you should just take it. Like for a while,
forever.
Well, not forever.
I like your thinking.
No. But like, here's what we should do with those games: is like, let's just do a little swap for like 6 months or something. And because I mean, you think about how often we get to play all of our games. It's not like we're gonna be like, oh my gosh, I didn't have Earth. So hey, consider it, Ryan.
Yeah, we'll see.
But don't keep it.
Yes, because I did really enjoy it, and from what I've seen of like the expansion content that's been pushed out for it, it like looks like
it's just more of the same.
I like the direction that it's going, because there's like the abundance expansion that I forget exactly what that adds, but I know the newest one adds like animals, and like there's actually little animal meeples that like end up on your grid that like.
Well, that's cool.
And it's like another thing that's very different from game to game depending on like what animal you get and stuff.
Okay,
I'm like, that sounds very cool.
That does sound cool.
Nice. My number 1, it is amazing that this game is landing above Nemesis Retaliation and a big 4-hour finger golf extravaganza. But if I'm going on just a play and like the highs of a play, which is really, the lens we're looking through with this, I have to give the crown to a game that got played a lot on this family trip with my wife's family. They really, really have gravitated to this one. It's Sausage Sizzle.
Oh my gosh! Right. We might be the biggest stands for this game.
We might, man. We are giving some love to Sausage Sizzle, but Sausage Sizzle has been giving a lot to me these days. So, man, such a simple push your luck dice game. But this one just seems to create exactly the group dynamic that you want this type of game to create.
Right.
I think over that 5-day stretch, I think I played it 6 times. It got played without me even, like a group played it. Some of those plays were with... It only goes to 5 players, but really the only limitation there is like the animal tokens to show what you've taken. So we worked around it by like letting people mark on a sheet or something what they've taken. So we played a game with 6 players, played a game with 7 players, we played a game with 10 players.
Wow.
And I wouldn't recommend that. It's a lot of downtime, but it still allowed a whole group together to share an experience around the game that everybody was kind of wanting to play.
Yeah. Wow.
However, that is not my top one of the month. It was actually a 5-player game early on. And has to be the craziest game of Sausage Sizzle I've played. And I've
That's
had
saying
some
something, Ryan. We've seen some crazy games, Ryan.
But just the odds and the way this one finished, I think going into the final round, so the last turn of the second to last round, that player made a big move and took the lead. And so now we're going into the final round where the last player in turn order is winning. Or I guess maybe second to last. But so then the first player in turn order, who was the leader, now needs to kind of make a move to get back into first. And it's hard on this last turn in Sausage Sizzle because you have one animal,
right?
You have to go for that animal.
Yeah.
And so, we've even seen situations, and actually I saw this on our trip. We saw somebody get all 4 sausages, which gives you times 7, and get none of the animal. So it's a 0 times 7. It's a very sad moment. But we watched now as this first player manages to pull off a 21. So 3 of the animal with sausages. That's really good at any point in the game, but especially hard to do when those 3 animals had to be the one you were going for. And so now he shot back up. It was oh man, now everybody is in this I have to swing for the fences mode,
right?
Which is when Sausage Sizzle can get very fun.
Yes.
So we go to the next player, and his only chance is a 28. He would have to get a perfect 28. And so he's rolling and starting to get his stuff. And it was it's alive. I think it came down to he had the 21 and gets 1 roll of the last animal die, hits it on the 1 in 6 chance to get a perfect 28.
Oh my god.
And pass the 21. And we're just losing it. And it was my brother-in-law's baby's son had gone to bed, so we're trying to be kind of quiet.
Wait, so it's sorry, brother-in-law's baby's son. What?
Yes.
What?
So my wife's brother.
You're saying the baby is a son, not the baby's son.
A son who is a baby.
Okay, I was just
there was a baby sleeping. Okay.
Okay.
So we're it's one of those things where crazy things happen and everybody's doing quiet crazy, where you're and running around the room. And so that was just oh my gosh, the sequence of the person who took the lead, then the previous leader getting the 21, and then the 28 that had to get it. Then it goes to my wife, who I always joke somehow has a way with Sausage Sizzle, and the stats support it.
Wow.
We've played, a similar amount of games, and I'm sitting at a 10% win rate, and she's at a 60%
Must be a pretty skill-based game,
Must be a pretty
Ryan.
skill-based game. And so now she finds herself in the same situation as the last player, where she would need a perfect
28.
one. And we watch as she slowly keeps it alive, and once again comes down to a single animal roll, which is a 1 in 6, and she hits the 28.
Oh.
I've probably only seen
my gosh,
6 perfect 28s in all my Sausage Sizzle playing.
And multiple in the same game.
And to see 21, 28, 28, and both the 28s were on the final round where you only had 1 animal option and had to get it to win. We were losing our minds. It was one of those moments in a game with randomness where you just it is blowing your mind how against the odds what you're seeing is happening. And so my wife ended up holding on to the victory then. But it was funny because it was the first time we'd ever played this game with Mary's youngest brother. And he's just this is the greatest game. I was having to tell him, I don't know if that was a representative experience.
It's maybe not always quite like that.
But he was wired. He's I haven't had a game do this to me. But man, so obviously a little bit of an outlier experience with Sausage Sizzle. I would not advertise that if you get Sausage Sizzle, this is what you could get, though it is what you could get.
Right. And many games have
and
moments
here's the
like
thing
that.
is, it's been shockingly consistent. I haven't had that many dud games.
I'd agree with that.
Usually down the stretch, you always are going to have people that need to push to try to get back in it, and that just sets the stage for these amazing moments where people are hitting. There's a lot of moments where people push and it just wah, and,
right.
and that's part of the game as well. And we had one of the games that we played on the strip that it felt like that was the whole game, as everybody was trying and just failing.
Right.
But you get games like this, and yeah, this game has been an absolute slam dunk with like every group we've played it with. I've played it with a lot of different people at this point. I'm to the point now where we came home from the trip, and you know what I did? I looked up on Amazon.
Played a solo game of Sausage?
Yeah, I played solo for 3 hours. No, I saw Sausage Sizzle was on sale on Amazon for like $10, and I bought another copy so that I actually have the tokens if I want to go past.
Go up.
Honestly, I guess you could play 2 simultaneous games, and I got it all to fit in one box.
Dang,
with
actually
both sets of dice. And so I'm like, man, this game has earned it. It's earned there you go, 21st Century Games. It was such a good experience. You got a double sale.
So you have everything to go up to...
You could go up to 10 players.
10
like
players?
I said, I don't think I'd recommend that unless you were in the situation I was, where just like everybody wants to play together and everybody has an appetite for Sausage Sizzle.
Right, well, and it's one of those games, like I feel like there's game situations where people can be like playing, but also you're kind of just like talking at the,
and that's how it was. The thing you lost, because what's fun about even a 5-player game of Sausage Sizzle is everybody's turn. Everybody else is pretty engaged with the turn and watching. Right. This was to the point where, like, if you were on the opposite side of the table, you couldn't even see the dice.
Oh, okay.
Well,
so a little
enough,
bit different dynamic.
And so it turned into this dynamic where, like, the 5 people that are closest, are watching, and the 5 people on the other side of the table are kind of chatting and whatever. And it worked. And when I have to give my score updates, I'm having to give like this, monologue on where everybody's sitting in the score. So like I said, it's not an experience, but I don't regret that we did it. And it actually worked well for the situation. I just don't know that there's a lot of people that's going to be the right fit for that situation. But yeah, picked up another copy, because I will say, going to 6 players or even 7 players,
that's helpful.
I would totally consider that. We did it, and that suddenly makes this game even more flexible in the type of situation it can fit. So I don't know if you've been watching the last few videos on the channel.
If you
we've given a pretty hard
yet.
pitch for Sausage Sizzle here, but there's no denying that it has just landed really, really well in our groups.
Well, there you have it, folks. An incredible month of board gaming. September, always a good month. And man, I want to go play some Sausage Sizzle. And if you want to play Sausage Sizzle or any one of these other games, we got links down below that you can click to purchase the game for yourself. Also supports the channel, which is always very much appreciated. We've got more games being talked about in these videos. We'll see you in the next one.